be good to go. We got about 14 minutes left until the close. Okay. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for December 2nd, 2019. Q's down just shy of 1%, was down a little bit more this morning. SPY down 0.66. Okay, so we do have, about 15 minutes left before the close here. Going to be a nice bearish bar here on the daily. Okay, we got a little bit of acceleration on Thursday prior, and then yet a little bit of weakness on Friday, and then follow through today. Okay, so I think the big question for us as traders, and especially swing, is this gonna be the start of a drop? Okay, and so I think there is potential for that, but what I want to go over today is what we should be watching for. Okay, and it's really going to come from what we've seen previously. Okay, so what we're going to need to see in order for us to go to a bearish bias is get through today's low, okay, and then if we can break any kind of setup underneath this 201 area where we got this major support here, okay, we can go to a bearish bias. Now it's going to be a short-term bearish bias because weekly will really just be starting a pullback. Monthly, still going to be very, very bullish, right? Let me give you the weekly again. Weekly, monthly, still very, very bullish, okay? So long-term bias is not going to change, but we finally got a break of the hourly uptrend, right? And that's our first cue that, okay, we can shed the bullish bias, right? No longer bullish as we have been, right? And then now we're getting the follow through. We are getting a little bit of a sell setup here. Now, the reason that I'm not going bearish now, even though we've got this little bit of retracement potential for a lower high here, is that we've seen this before, and it typically is not going to follow through on as strong of an uptrend as we have, right? So like here, when we got this retracement potential for a lower high here, what happened, right? Support held, and then off we went, okay? Back up and onto new highs. Okay, so, it's the kind of red bar that has to get our attention, right? It gives us a new line in the sand here. The support that was established previously prior to the gap up is tested and so far holding. Okay, so it's definitely not a red bar that we can ignore. It gives us a relevant line in the sand here, but I still think it's too early to be all out bearish. Okay, so going into tomorrow, it's going to be a neutral bias. Okay, the hourly uptrend, finally got this break here. You can see we got a little bit of acceleration extension away from the 20 MA, more so than what we've gotten. And so I think it's not that surprising we got a reaction here, right? But so far, right, that dip is holding. And so what I'm looking for is we get below today's low. Next setup, we can start the bearish bias. Okay? All right, so that's going to be for the Qs. SPY, not that different there. All right, we got the drop here. That's where the support area is. What I'm thinking is that even if we base at it, we don't necessarily have to get through the support. Still going to be, I think, good enough to start a bearish bias. Okay, so we are breaking this hourly uptrend, starting to put it to the test here, whether this support can support another move up. If we kind of base out where we are at now on the Qs and SPY, the more that we stay sideways is going to lend itself more to a bullish bias. So we need to kind of get underneath today's low sooner rather than later if we're going to get some kind of drop. Otherwise, it's going to lead us back to the bullish bias. Okay, so that is the plan. All right, so going to look at today's plays here. All right, both were pro gaps. All right, and that was the Roku. All right, gapping down, clearing this daily base. Okay, the Roku played this morning off of the 2-minute new lows there. Base breakdown here this morning here, right in here. Breakdown. Really nice play. That I think really was the play of the day, and in fact was played a second time on this sell setup. Okay, rallied. You can see got almost a little bit climactic and then played underneath the 5 minute. Okay, so bearish bias comes from the pro gap down. All right, gapping against the short-term trend into this area where it had a strong rally up. All right, and then the other play is the Ollie. I know a lot of people played the Roku. Some of you played both the Roku and the Ollie, right? Ollie, not quite as impressive here on the Ollie. We did have a pro gap as well, so that gives us the bearish bias. We actually didn't have this on the list. This came up on the gap scanner later in the morning, but I like that I was clearing this base. All right, and then just gave us a 2-minute breakdown here. 2-minute base breakdown, and there was almost a dollar stop, so a pretty big stop. And then got very close to almost getting taken out there, and then finally got the new lows later into lunch. And the last piece, the runner there, trailed out over the 65-minute, and then coming right back down. So not in it anymore, but looking like it is going to close near the lows. Very nice gap. Starting the sell setup on the weekly. You can see there's that double top there starting to roll over. Right, and the only reason you have this gap on the weekly is because it's gapping on a Monday, the start of the week, right? But daily is typically where we focus on the quality of the gap. So I did like this gap a lot. And it just didn't quite move as nicely, as fluidly as the Roku. So Roku really the play of the day. I didn't think there was all that much today. I think if you went after some relative strength items, especially later in the day when the selling in the market subsided, there were some other opportunities as well. The win was showing some relative strength here. The market was making new lows. This was starting to stabilize, right? So a breakout over that base, as well as a 15-minute buy setup right here. Okay, that kind of just triggered, just starting to get underway. And then the other one was the MAXR. So the MAXR, you can see, showed a lot more strength at the open. Qs and SPY were getting sold. This did a retracement and then rallied back up. So I think after the morning, there wasn't a whole lot, but it seems like into the afternoon here, maybe some of the relative strength plays. But hopefully you took either the Ollie or the Roku from Sammy. All right, or even better, maybe you did both. Okay. So that's going to do it for today's market wrap. So you should have a clear idea of what to look for over the next for the rest of the week off of this hourly chart here. If we are going to be able to go to a bearish bias, then you'll know what to look for. And then otherwise, right, just going to remain neutral if we don't cross today's lows here, okay? So we'll see if we get some kind of setup, what the market wants to do. Pretty significant sell-off today in that it is ending the hourly uptrend, right? But we'll see. The market could stabilize and resume like we've seen it do before. So just waiting for confirmation of the ending of the uptrend and that the top is in, okay? So we'll see if that if it gives us an answer tomorrow, all right? And we'll be back at it then, all right? Have a good rest of your day.